The library at Lincoln Elementary School carried the faint scent of old books and wax polish, a quiet comfort that clung to the worn wooden tables and faded posters of children reading beneath cartoon stars. In Chicago's patchwork of neighborhoods, where working-class homes pressed against gentrified brownstones, the school was a microcosm of the city, diverse, resilient, and fiercely proud. On this October evening in 2023, the room hummed with the soft anticipation of a fifth-grade parent-teacher conference, parents settling into folding chairs, their faces etched with curiosity, fatigue, or both. The walls, adorned with student drawings of pumpkins and spaceships, seemed to hold their breath, as if sensing the tension brewing beneath the fluorescent lights. Maria Alvarez, 34, stood at the front, adjusting a stack of progress reports, her dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail that framed her warm brown eyes. Her navy cardigan, buttoned over a simple blouse, was a nod to the autumn chill seeping through the windows. A Mexican-American teacher with a master's degree from DePaul University and a decade of experience, Maria was a cornerstone of Lincoln Elementary. Her classroom, a haven where students like Ethan Whitmore and Ava Robinson found not just lessons, but love. Raised in Pilsen, where her parents ran a taqueria that fed the neighborhood, Maria had clawed her way through underfunded schools and student loans to become the teacher she'd needed as a child. Her smile, practiced but genuine, greeted each parent as they arrived, though her stomach nodded with unease. Tonight, she'd face Karen Whitmore, a parent whose sharp tongue was as notorious as her Hermes scarf. The crowd was a mosaic of Chicago, factory workers in faded jackets, nurses still in scrubs, a few affluent professionals from Lincoln Park, whose designer coats stood out like beacons among the thrift store finds. Maria knew the dynamics well. The working parents hung on her every word, grateful for her updates, while the wealthier ones like Karen often treated her like a subordinate, their questions laced with skepticism. She'd prepared meticulously, her reports detailing each student's strengths and needs, her plans tailored to bridge gaps and spark growth. But Karen's presence loomed, a storm cloud on the horizon, and Maria braced herself as she scanned the room. Karen swept in 10 minutes late, her platinum blonde hair gleaming under the lights, her tailored blazer exuding corporate polish. She claimed a front-row seat, her phone in hand, her sapphire earrings catching the glare as she typed furiously, ignoring Maria's opening remarks. Marcus Robinson, a software engineer and school board member, sat a few rows back, his dark eyes attentive, his navy sweater understated despite his influence in the community. Marcus, a black father whose daughter, Ava, thrived in Maria's class, was a quiet force, his presence a reassurance as Maria began. "Good evening, everyone," Maria said, her voice clear, cutting through the rustle of coats and murmured greetings. "Thank you for taking the time to be here. Tonight, we'll review your children's progress in 5th grade and discuss our goals for the spring. I've prepared individualized plans for each student, and I'm excited to share how we can support them together." The parents nodded, some jotting notes, others leaning forward, their faces softening with interest. Karen, though, kept her eyes on her phone, her fingers tapping a staccato rhythm, her impatience a silent rebuke that Maria felt like a chill. She pushed on, projecting a chart of reading benchmarks onto the library's old screen, her enthusiasm undimmed by the woman's indifference. "Our class has made incredible strides," she said, pointing to the data. 80% are now reading above grade level, up from 65 last year. We've been using book clubs, interactive apps, and one-on-one coaching to spark their love for stories. The room warmed with murmurs of approval, a few parents clapping softly. A father in a Cubs cap smiled, whispering to his wife, "That's why Javier's always got his nose in a book now." But Karen's silence was a cold current, pulling Maria's focus, her presence a weight that threatened to derail the evening. Maria took a breath, centering herself, and moved to the next slide, outlining her strategies for math and science, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. When the group discussion ended, Maria shifted to individual conferences, calling parents forward to discuss their children's reports. Marcus went first, his broad frame filling the space as he approached, his smile wide. Maria handed him Ava's progress report, her voice bright. "Ava's a leader in our book club," she said. "Her essays are thoughtful, and she's reading at a 7th grade level. She's got a bright future ahead." Marcus nodded, his voice warm, his eyes crinkling with pride. "Thanks to you, Miss Alvarez. Ava talks about your class non-stop, says you make reading feel like an adventure. Keep doing what you're doing." The exchange was a balm, a reminder of why Maria taught, why she stayed despite the long hours and modest pay. Marcus returned to his seat, his notebook open, his pen poised as he jotted a few thoughts. Maria called the next parent, a nurse named Rosa, who beamed as Maria praised her son's math skills. But as Rosa stepped away, Karen approached, her heels clicking on the linoleum, her expression a mask of barely concealed disdain. Maria braced herself, pulling Ethan's report, her notes highlighting his strengths, math, science, but also his struggle with reading comprehension, a gap she'd been working to close. "Mrs. Whitmore," Maria began, her tone professional, her hands steady on the report. "Ethan's doing well in several areas. He's excelling in math and science, always eager to tackle our projects. But reading's been a bit challenging, particularly with main ideas and inferences. I've outlined a plan, extra sessions twice a week, some sci-fi books he loves, and a few apps to make it engaging. With this support, I'm confident he'll catch up by spring." Karen's lips pursed, her phone set down with a deliberate clink that echoed in the quiet room. "Challenging?" she said, her voice sharp, slicing through the hum of whispered conversations. "Ethan's not challenged, he's bored. If you were teaching properly, he wouldn't be struggling at all. Honestly, I don't understand why you're even here. If you were any good, you'd be at a private school, not some public dump like this." The words landed like a blow, their venom ringing in the silence that followed. Maria's breath caught, her hands tightening on Ethan's report, the paper crinkling under her fingers. The other parents froze, some staring, others looking away, their discomfort a palpable weight. Marcus's pen paused, his eyes narrowing, a storm brewing in his steady gaze. Rosa, still nearby, clutched her purse, her face a mix of shock and sympathy. Linda Carter, the principal, sat at the back, her clipboard clutched tightly, her expression neutral, but her fingers twitching. Maria's cheeks burned, but she held Karen's gaze, years of practice keeping her voice steady. "Mrs. Whitmore," she said, each word measured, "I have a master's degree in education and 10 years of experience. My plan for Ethan is based on proven strategies, and I've seen it work with students just like him. I'd be happy to discuss specifics if you have concerns." Karen laughed, a cold, brittle sound that sent a shiver through the room. "Specifics?" she said, her sapphire earrings glinting as she leaned forward. "You don't get it, do you? Ethan's not like your other students. Our family has higher standards. He needs a teacher who knows what they're doing, not someone just following a textbook." Her voice carried, each syllable a dart aimed at Maria's credibility, her identity. The phrase "your other students" hung heavy, a veiled jab at the school's diverse, working-class majority, at Maria's own roots. Maria's heart pounded, but she refused to flinch, her voice calm, her eyes locked on Karen's. "I understand your expectations," she said, "and I'm committed to helping Ethan meet them. Let's set up a time to review the plan together, maybe find books he's excited about." Karen waved a hand, dismissing the offer like a fly. "I'll handle it myself," she said, standing, her Hermes scarf slipping to reveal a gold necklace that gleamed like a taunt. "I'm not wasting my time with you." She turned, her heels clicking a staccato rhythm as she strode back to her seat, her posture rigid, her victory assumed. The parents around her avoided her gaze, their silence a mix of fear and disapproval. But no one spoke. The weight of Karen's status, a prominent lawyer with ties to city officials, holding them back. Maria stood at the front, the progress report trembling in her hands, her smile a fragile mask over the hurt. She pushed through the rest of the meeting, discussing reports with other parents, her voice steady but her heart heavy, each interaction a reminder of the community she served. Rosa squeezed her hand, whispering, "You're amazing, Miss Alvarez. Don't listen to her." A father in a Cubs cap nodded, saying, "My kid loves your class." But Karen's words, "public dump, higher standards," echoed, a wound that wouldn't close. As the parents filed out, Marcus lingered, his 6-foot frame a quiet anchor in the emptying room. He approached Maria, his notebook tucked under his arm, his dark eyes steady. "You didn't deserve that," he said, his voice low, a promise threaded through his words. "Karen Whitmore's out of line, and she's going to learn it. Don't let her get to you, Miss Alvarez. You're the best we've got." Maria nodded, forcing a smile, her throat tight. "Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I'll be okay." But she wasn't okay. Driving home to her modest apartment in Pilsen, the city's lights blurring through her windshield, Maria replayed the encounter, each insult a fresh cut. She'd faced prejudice before, parents who assumed her accent meant incompetence, colleagues who questioned her credentials. But Karen's attack was public, deliberate, a knife twisted before her community. At home, she poured a glass of wine and called her sister, Elena, a social worker with a fiery streak. "Why do I keep doing this?" Maria said, her voice breaking. "I'm good at my job, Elena. I've got a master's, 10 years in, and she made me feel like nothing." Elena's voice was fierce through the phone. "You're not nothing, Maria. You're everything to those kids, to that school. She's just a bully with a fancy scarf. Fight back, your way. Show her what you're made of." Maria sipped her wine, the words a spark in the dark. She didn't know how yet, but she'd find a way to reclaim her voice, to make Karen see the cost of her contempt. As she fell asleep, the city's hum a distant lullaby, she felt a resolve take root, a quiet fire that would burn brighter than she knew. The next morning, Maria returned to Lincoln Elementary, her classroom a sanctuary of colorful posters and student projects. She taught her lessons with her usual passion, guiding Ethan through a sci-fi story, his eyes lighting up as he decoded a tricky passage about interstellar travel. "You're getting it," she told him, her smile genuine, his progress a small victory against his mother's scorn. But the sting of Karen's words lingered, a shadow that followed her through the day, darkening her interactions. She confided in Miss Patel, a third-grade teacher, over lunch in the staff room. "Whitmore's always been like that," Miss Patel said, shaking her head. "Thinks she owns the school because she's got money and a law degree. But you're tougher than her, Maria. Don't let her win." Maria nodded, but the doubt gnawed at her. She'd chosen this life to make a difference, to lift kids like Ethan and Ava, to build bridges in a city fractured by class and race. But Karen's contempt had shaken her, stirring memories of her childhood, of teachers who dismissed her potential, of classmates who mocked her parents' accents. She'd fought to prove them wrong, to earn her place, but moments like this made her feel small, as if her master's degree and decade of service were no match for a Hermes scarf and a corner office. The first twist came a week later, at the next parent-teacher meeting, a follow-up to discuss spring goals and classroom projects. Maria prepared meticulously, her slides updated with new data, Ethan's reading scores up 10 points, Ava leading the class in essay writing, the group's overall progress a testament to her skill. She wore her best blazer, a deep green that bolstered her confidence, and stood at the front of the library, her voice steady as parents filled the room. The crowd was fuller this time, drawn by whispers of the last meeting's drama, their support a quiet counterpoint to the storm Maria sensed brewing. Karen entered, her cashmere sweater a softer shade of privilege, her demeanor as icy as before. She took her front row seat, her phone in hand, her sapphire earrings glinting under the lights. Maria began, presenting the class's achievements, highlighting Ethan's improvement with a sci-fi book club that had him reading voraciously. "He's finding his stride," she said, her smile warm. "With a bit more practice, he'll be at grade level by spring." Karen interrupted, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "I'm still not convinced," she said, standing, her sweater slipping to reveal a gold bracelet that shimmered with entitlement. "Ethan's only improving because I hired a tutor. This school's standards are too low, and frankly, Miss Alvarez, you're part of the problem. We need teachers who can actually challenge our kids, not just babysit them." The room tensed, parents shifting in their seats, the air heavy with unspoken outrage. Maria's pulse raced, her hands gripping her notes, but before she could respond, Marcus Robinson stood, his 6-foot frame commanding the space, his voice a low, steady thunder that silenced the whispers. "Mrs. Whitmore, you're out of line," he said, his dark eyes locked on hers, his navy sweater a stark contrast to her ostentatious shine. "Miss Alvarez is the best teacher my daughter's ever had. Ava's reading at a 7th grade level because of her. You talk about standards? Maybe check your own before you disrespect someone who's doing more for our kids than you ever will." The room erupted in applause, parents clapping, some calling out, "Hear, hear!" Rosa, the nurse, nodded fiercely, her purse clutched like a shield. A father in a Cubs cap shouted, "That's right!" Karen's face flushed, her hands gripping her purse, her composure cracking like thin ice. "I'm entitled to my opinion," she said, her voice wavering, her sapphire earrings trembling. "This is about my son's education, not some personal vendetta." "It's about respect," Marcus shot back, his tone unyielding, each word a hammer striking stone. "You don't get to walk in here and tear down a teacher who's giving everything to our kids. I recorded that last meeting, by the way. Every word you said about public dumps and higher standards. I'm taking it to the school board, and trust me, they'll care. You want to talk standards? Let's talk about yours." The applause grew louder, parents standing now, their silence broken by Marcus's courage, their voices a chorus of defiance. Karen's face was crimson, her scarf slipping as she grabbed her purse and stood, her exit hurried, her heels a staccato retreat across the linoleum. Maria, stunned, met Marcus's gaze, a silent thank you passing between them, her heart pounding with a mix of relief and awe. The meeting continued, the atmosphere lighter, parents engaging with Maria's plans, their questions warm, their support a balm to her wounds. As the room emptied, Marcus approached, his notebook tucked under his arm, his smile soft but resolute. "I meant what I said," he told her, his voice low. "You're the heart of this school, Miss Alvarez. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Maria's eyes glistened, but she held her composure, her voice steady. "Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I didn't expect that. It means more than you know." Marcus nodded, a promise in his gaze. "It's not over yet," he said, turning to leave, his steps purposeful, a man with a plan Maria couldn't yet see. Driving home, Maria felt lighter, the weight of Karen's contempt lifted by Marcus's stand, by the parents' applause. She called Elena, her sister's voice a lifeline through the phone. "You should have seen it," Maria said, laughing, a sound she hadn't heard in herself for days. "This guy Marcus just shut her down. The whole room was with me, Elena. I felt seen." "That's my girl," Elena said, her voice bright. "Now keep fighting. You're not just teaching kids, you're teaching people like her what respect looks like." Maria nodded, though Elena couldn't see, her resolve hardening. She'd been humiliated, but she wasn't defeated. Karen had underestimated her, and now with Marcus's support, Maria sensed a shift, a chance to turn the tables, to make her voice heard beyond the library's walls. The second twist came 10 days later, a storm that reshaped the narrative in ways Maria hadn't anticipated. Marcus Robinson, as a school board member, had connections, educators, activists, and a friend at the Chicago Tribune, Sarah Kim, who was working on a series about equity in public schools. He'd sent Sarah the recording from the first meeting, a 90-second clip capturing Karen's tirade. "I don't understand why you're even here. Our family has higher standards." The audio was raw, unfiltered, Karen's voice dripping with disdain, Maria's responses calm but firm. Sarah, sensing a story that could spark change, interviewed Maria anonymously, weaving her perspective into a broader piece about the challenges facing teachers in underfunded schools. The article, published under the headline, "Wealthy Parents' Outburst Sparks Debate on Respect in Schools," dropped like a thunderclap. It detailed Karen's behavior, quoting her verbatim, anonymized as a Lincoln Park lawyer, and praised the unnamed teacher's dedication, citing her master's degree, 10 years of experience, and measurable impact. 80% of her students reading above grade level. A statistic that shamed Karen's dismissal. The piece called out the culture of contempt in elite circles. using Maria's story as a rallying cry for change, and quoted Marcus as a concerned parent and board member who demanded accountability. "Our teachers deserve respect, not ridicule. It's time we hold everyone to the same standard." The fallout was immediate, a tidal wave that swept through Chicago's digital and social spheres. The article went viral, shared across Twitter with the hashtag #RespectTeachers, parents and educators nationwide adding their own stories of being demeaned by entitled elites. Local news picked up the story, with WGN airing a segment featuring Sarah Kim, who called for systemic changes to protect teachers from harassment. The hashtag trended for 3 days, a chorus of voices demanding respect, from bus drivers to custodians to classroom heroes like Maria. Community blogs and parent forums amplified the story, identifying Karen through her LinkedIn profile and gala photos, her Hermes scarf a dead giveaway. Karen's world unraveled with stunning speed. Her law firm, wary of the PR nightmare, mandated diversity training, a public rebuke that stung her pride. 2 high-profile clients dropped her, citing values misalignment. Their decisions leaked to a legal blog that amplified the scandal. Her social circle, once a fortress of Lincoln Park privilege, began to fracture. Invitations to charity galas and book clubs quietly rescinded. Karen became a cautionary tale, her name whispered in coffee shops and boardrooms, a symbol of arrogance brought low. For Maria, the article was a double-edged sword. She hadn't sought the spotlight, preferring the quiet impact of her classroom, but the support was overwhelming. Parents sent letters, some handwritten, thanking her for her work. Students left drawings on her desk, stick figures of Miss Alvarez with hearts and stars. A local nonprofit, inspired by the article, donated $500 to her class for new books, a windfall that brought tears to her eyes. Ethan, unaware of his mother's actions, continued to thrive, his reading scores climbing, his sci-fi book club a daily highlight. "I like how you make stories fun," he told her one afternoon, his grin a reminder of why she stayed. Maria met Marcus at a coffee shop in Logan Square, a cozy spot with mismatched chairs and the scent of roasted beans. Over lattes she thanked him, her voice thick with gratitude. "I didn't expect any of this," she said, stirring her drink. "You didn't just stand up for me, you changed the conversation." Marcus smiled, his eyes crinkling. "I did it for Ava," he said, his voice soft, "but also for my mom. She was a teacher, dealt with people like Karen her whole life, had to fight for every ounce of respect. You're carrying that torch, Miss Alvarez, and it's brighter than you know." Maria's throat tightened, but she nodded, the weight of his words settling over her. "I'm learning to fight too," she said, "not just for me, but for all of us." The school board, spurred by the article and public outcry, demanded Karen's public apology at a community meeting held in the school's gymnasium, a cavernous space packed with parents, teachers, and local reporters. Karen appeared, her face pale, her cashmere sweater replaced by a subdued gray dress, her sapphire earrings gone. "I regret my comments at Lincoln Elementary," she said, reading from a prepared statement, her voice flat, her eyes avoiding the crowd. "They were inappropriate, and I apologize to the teacher and the school community." The room was quiet. The apology met with skepticism, a few parents shaking their heads. Twitter users mocked it as damage control, posting memes of Hermes scarves captioned, "When your apology is as fake as your standards." Karen left quickly, her husband, a city council aide, trailing behind, his face a mask of frustration. She stopped attending school events, her presence replaced by Ethan's father, a quieter figure who thanked Maria at the next conference. "Ethan's doing great," he said, his voice sincere. "We're grateful for you." Maria's life changed in ways she hadn't anticipated. The school board honored her with a Teacher of the Year award, a plaque she hung in her classroom, its shine a quiet pride. She began leading workshops on diversity for the district, her voice steady as she shared her story, urging educators to confront bias head-on. Her book proposal, Teaching Through Contempt, blended her experiences with research on classroom dynamics, drawing interest from a Chicago publisher who saw its potential to inspire. She wrote late at night, her apartment filled with the clatter of her keyboard, her words a bridge between Pilsen and the world. Ethan's progress became a point of light, his reading now at grade level, his sci-fi stories sparking debates in class. One day, he slipped a handmade card into her hand, his scrawl a testament to her impact. "Thanks for believing in me, Miss Alvarez. You're the best." Maria tucked it into her desk, a keepsake beside her mother's old rosary, a reminder of the lives she touched. One spring evening, as Maria stood in her classroom, the Chicago skyline glowing through the window, she felt a shift, a clarity born of struggle and triumph. Karen's contempt had been a wound, but it had also been a catalyst, awakening a strength she hadn't known she possessed. The parents' applause, Marcus's stand, the article's reach, they were threads in a tapestry of community, woven by her refusal to be silenced. She was more than a teacher. She was a change-maker, her legacy written in the minds she shaped, the battles she'd won. The city pulsed outside, its lights a constellation of dreams and struggles, its hum a promise of stories yet to tell. Maria Alvarez, daughter of Pilsen, teacher of Lincoln Elementary, was ready for the next chapter. Her voice, once confined to a meeting room, now echoed far beyond, a call for respect that would not fade.